Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad you are here with us at our second annual Black Women Green Future Awards ceremony. I am thrilled to be here tonight to honor our awardees. I am Ebony Flowers, and I am humbled to be New Voices Black Women Green Future Program Manager. I do not take this position lightly, nor do I see this work as business as usual. This is personal. Black women are my sisters, family, friends, and colleagues. There is no me without them. Now, I am delighted to introduce you to New Voices co founder and archivist Lois Tonni McClendon.
Good evening and welcome to the second annual Black Women Green Futures Award, presented this evening by New Voices for Reproductive Justice, and we're live on Facebook. I'm Lois Tonni McClendon, the Grand Dame. I am proud to be one of the founders. Currently, I'm the archivist for New Voices, chronicling our rich history as one of the leading reproductive justice organizations in the nation. Since 2004, New Voices has been committed to transforming society for the holistic health and well-being of Black women, girls, femmes, and gender-expansive folk in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and the nation. Tonight, we are honoring 5 environmental justice champions who are leaving an indelible footprint on the path to decolonizing environmental justice. After all, Black, brown, and other indigenous people built the first civilizations. We were the first farmers, the first apothecaries, the first healers, and we honored and protected the land and the waters and respected all life. We are throwing off the legacy of slavery that has been manifested in the disparities we face today, and we are rebuilding and reimagining a future for the survival of this planet. To paraphrase an old meme, yes, Virginia, there is a Black led, right, let's say that again. Yes, Virginia, there will be a Black led green future. Join me in celebrating tonight's honorees: Mónica Ortiz Rossi, Reverend Dianne Glave, Tonni Oberly, Christa Barfield, and Jocelyn Travis. As the New Voices elder, I give you my blessing to this evening.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the second annual Black Women Green Future Awards. My name is Kelly Davis, and I'm proud to be the Executive Director of New Voices for Reproductive Justice. And thank you for joining us this evening to celebrate the incredible accomplishments of the 5 Black women leaders who we are gathered here today to honor. I want to extend a deep and heartfelt thank you to all of the honorees, the speakers, and the poets you'll hear from tonight. I want to thank them for their passion, their relentless work, their expertise on behalf of environmental justice, reproductive justice, and racial equity. This event would not exist without them. I also want to acknowledge the footsteps I'm following in this evening. As you just heard, our co-founder, Ms. Lois Tonni McClendon. She's a long-term freedom fighter for reproductive justice. So I really want to thank her for everything that she's done for reproductive justice, our organization, Allegheny County, the city of Pittsburgh. For every step I take, she is right beside me each and every day. New Voices for Reproductive Justice is an 18-year-old organization dedicated to the health and well-being of Black women, femmes, girls, and gender-expansive folks. You might not know this, but we're the only reproductive justice organization in the entire state of Pennsylvania and the first in Ohio. through voter engagement, community organizing, policy advocacy, public education, and mutual aid, along with leadership development, we're moving the needle forward in each of our states, nationally, and across the globe in service of a more equitable and just future. Let me tell you a secret. Environmental justice is reproductive justice. We cannot support ourselves and our families and our communities if our air, water, land, food, medicine, beauty products, hygiene products are unsafe, poisonous, or toxic. And as you'll hear from our keynote speaker, my sister, and the illustrious Latricia Adams, who is the founder, president, and CEO of Black Millennials for Flint, she always says the womb is our first environment, but it's not the only one we'll inhabit during our time on the planet. Environmental justice seeks to dismantle the barriers between climate activism and racial equity because we understand that one cannot succeed without the other. We know all too well that traditional environmentalism, which heralds only the leadership of predominantly white people like Al Gore or Greta Thunberg, has a long history of racial exclusion. And it's no accident, like all systems, is functioning as designed. It was designed with purpose by white supremacist institutions, right, and white supremacist societies who sought to exclude the very people who are being harmed the most. The concept of NIMBY, or not in my backyard, has become so pervasive in our society that we now allow aspects of our health, safety, and well-being to be dictated entirely by what zip code you were born into, what language you speak, and what is the color of your skin. And in the wealthiest country in the world, which is the United States, where you were born and where you live should not determine your life expectancy, whether or not you have chronic diseases like asthma and COPD, or your access to clean air or clean water, which it takes in order to sustain life. And that's even before you are pregnant or parenting. Despite this very fundamental notion, low-income communities of color disproportionately face exposure to pollution and toxic chemicals in the environment and in their homes. In Allegheny County, where New Voices for Reproductive Justice was founded, is in the top 1% of all U.S. counties when it comes to cancer risk from toxic air pollutants released from stationary sources. Black people in these communities are more likely to be exposed to toxic or endocrine disrupting chemicals, which really kind of explains why Black women disproportionately have autoimmune conditions. And these things cause cancer and other health problems in the workplace. For example, Black people are 75% more likely to live near locations where there are elevated levels of toxic waste. This could be an oil refinery, like here in Philadelphia, where I reside, or toxic chemicals in Cancer Alley in Louisiana. This is why New Voices for Reproductive Justice includes environmental justice as a core issue area. Black Women Green Future was born out of a need to not only grow the amount of Black women and queer folks fighting for healthy communities and bodies and families, but to also uplift the Black women and birthing people who have been and continue to do this work in spaces that were never built for them or even include them today. An aim of Black Women Green Future is to bring attention to state and local officials, demanding focus be placed on policies that directly affect Black women, girls, and femmes. raising awareness and informing policy around the effects of climate change and environmental degradation, fighting for better air quality, and elevating our country's abysmal Black maternal health crisis is reproductive justice. The first Black Women Green Future Awards was hosted in 2021, and we honored Black women who have dedicated their lives and careers to furthering environmental justice, whether it be lead in the water of our pipes, toxic hair products, and beyond. The Black Women Green Future Awards has been dedicated to honoring those on the front lines of the fight who advocate daily for our environmental protections and fair treatment. This year's theme, Our Hands, Lands, and Liberation, Turning Our Future Green, reflects the hope, determination, zeal, and joy behind why we do this work. We are a nation of displaced Africans, right, who were stolen from our land. And so we honor the land of our Native brothers and sisters and Two-Spirit people, and of the displaced Indigenous Africans who have also been cultivating this land for millennia. Tonight, you'll get to learn more about our honorees, which include farmers, authors, activists, and organizers, along with scholars. They're at the forefront of the environmental justice movement, bringing fresh produce to urban communities, fostering interest in agricultural practices, organizing communities for action, and teaching the history of our land and environment, eschewing the racist environmental history that many of us think about today. I am beyond proud to gather you all virtually as we honor them tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm thrilled to bring it back to Ebony Flowers, the Black Woman Green Future Manager. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And to Kelly's point, I also want to recognize the ancestral lands that I occupy today. Here in Pittsburgh, I recognize the Shawandasi, and back home in South Carolina, I recognize the Pee and Waccamaw tribes. To view native lands you occupy, please visit native-land.ca. Now I am delighted to introduce you to Sabraya, our first poet of the evening. Her poem is titled When a Black Girl Blooms.
When a black girl blooms. Been residing in the land of exhaustion, riding into a back road of restoration, healing for the next generation. Strapping courage to my chest like new armor. I know that a storm is coming, but I've always known a black woman to weather it. To be the cup flowing over with life, covering fields that yield to process. I am obsessed with our nature unknown, especially when I know it means that our seeds are being fully grown. That the roots were always meant to be brown, branches and leaves that bend to the sky like a black girl's curls. In community, I pulled up the weeds. Thankful for new growth, yet there is a moment where I forget to thank the sun, the moon, the stars, and
Thank you, Sabraya. Next, you will hear from the founder and CEO of Black Millennials for Flint, Latricia Adams. Miss Adams is a native of Memphis, Tennessee, an environmental justice advocate, a recipient of the Unbossed and Unapologetic Award, the youngest African-American woman appointed to the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, and an overall movement trailblazer.
First, granting permission from our ancestors of the environmental justice movement to speak truth to power today, lifting up Dana Alston, Hazel Johnson, Wilma Mankiller, Gwendolyn Patton, Connie Tucker, and a host of other powerful ancestors who I have the esteemed honor of channeling today. honoring our elders, Peggy Shepard, the one and only Dr. Beverly Wright out of Louisiana, Doris and Marquita Bradshaw from my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, Donna Chavis, Jean Sapp, Linda Ray Murray, Cynthia Harris, Linda McKeever Bullard, Donnell Wilkins. There are so many more Black and brown women history makers that our country, built by Black and brown hands, that are left out of history books, crafted by the indoctrinated minds of white supremacists who not only ignore our contributions, but ignore our humanity. Despite the seemingly never-ending fight against environmental racism, organizations like New Voices for Reproductive Justice amplifies the painstakingly difficult truth of American history while constantly seeking restorative justice to heal from the atrocities and ecological violence against Black, Latinx, and Indigenous people. I am Latricia Danice Adams, she, her, and hers, the daughter of Roy and Sharon Adams, a displaced African born in a city I love, Memphis, Tennessee. My journey to environmental justice at the intersection of maternal health and reproductive justice is not an unusual one if you understand the culture that is imminent throughout the American diaspora. Our hands, land, and liberation, turning our future green. This theme of transformation is birthed from the Swahili word ujima, meaning collective work and responsibility. Unlike the westernized thought of individualism and everyone for themselves rhetoric, the original stewards of the land, Black, Latinx, and Indigenous folks have an unshakable devotion to unity. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack. Since European colonists invaded the coast of West Africa and engaged in one of the world's most horrific acts of human trafficking, our wombs, every single human being's first environment, has been caught in a war against white supremacy and genocide. Today, I want to take you through a historical journey of the plight, victory, and continuous work at the intersection of environment and reproductive justice. Black women's wombs have always been a commodity. Our fertility has been grounded in the evils of slavery and forced labor and the inhumanity of medical research. The impact of racialized science in the field of medicine today is painfully illustrated by the deep linkages that American gynecologies have with slavery. Many of the field's most pioneering surgical techniques were developed on the bodies of Black women who were experimented on until they were either cured or died. Antebellum United States physicians also began to use access to Black and enslaved bodies to expand scientific knowledge and build professional reputations. While white physicians were limited in knowledge and stole much, if not all, of the intellectual property and practice of midwives and ancestral birth workers, these supremacists and terrorists punished these highly skilled Black women for troubled pregnancies and deliveries, as opposed to accurately attributing miscarriages and other birthing challenges on the hard labor and environmental devastation Black childbirthing people experience daily. Particularly as the Industrial Revolution that brought about great wealth to white folk, it was a death sentence for Black people forced to work in harsh conditions, including lethal pollution from the burgeoning industry. For example, agrochemical innovation. Like most large-scale human production tools, it began to pick up during the Industrial Revolution. Popular pesticides included diluted sulfuric acid, iron sulfate, copper sulfate, copper nitrate, and sodium arsenate, lead, all chemicals that cause major reproductive and maternal health issues. This means that enslaved Black women working in the fields directly took in these pollutants into their bodies, into their wombs, threatening the lives of unborn children who already had a dark destiny of a life of brutal slavery shortly after birth. These reproductive health issues came about with modern research that linked the development of uterine fibroids, for example, and endometriosis to chemicals from pesticides. The Industrial Revolution was so invasive to the environment that even after 272 years, remnants of pollution still disproportionately linger and impact Black, Latinx, and Indigenous communities with legacy toxins in water, soil, and the air that we still grapple with today. Despite the sheer chokehold that white supremacy had and has on Black wombs, Black women still organized to resist. Women also used, Black women to be exact, knowledge of plants and medicine, knowledge passed down generationally as a means of preventing pregnancy and attempting to induce abortions. Medicinal herbs were also used by the slave community to regulate menstrual cycles and assist in births. Gender-specific knowledge and cultural practices resisted white dominant cultural norms. Women, specifically Black women's actions, also provided empowerment and control over Black bodies, and particularly over Black wombs. On cotton plantations throughout the South, including places like Sea Island, cotton plantations in the Low Country, Black women chewed on cotton roots to prevent pregnancy or end pregnancy already in progress. One thing that Black women have and will continue to demonstrate is an unwavering superpower to organize and fight back against misogynoir and tyranny by any means necessary. Even women's rights activist Sojourner Truth alluded to the harsh treatment of women and Black bodies. Mother Earth is a Black woman and she is under attack. While post-emancipation gave a glimmer of hope toward freedom, Black wombs were still in peril. Enslaved African women's wombs were profitable as they could give birth to more slaves. However, once slavery was abolished, there was a surge in Black genocide and forced sterilization. In the 1940s, around World War II, we began to see the complicity of the federal government and the rise of petrochemical plants invading Black communities. In my hometown of Memphis, the Delta refinery, which later became the Valero refinery, exists and continues to exist in the heart of the Riverside community, a once thriving Black community in the southern part of the city. This toxic fossil fuel plant is less than a quarter mile from residential property, nearly solely owned by Black families. Research shows that proximity of up to 5 miles from a petrochemical plant increases the risk of the development of uterine fibroids. In the Jim Crow South, Valero provided accessibility to good wages that would otherwise not be attainable for Black families. This white supremacist strategy forced vulnerable Black families to choose between economic vitality and working for an entity that poisoned the very community where they lived, worked, and prayed. In about 1950 in good old Memphis, Tennessee, my great-grandparents called the beloved city of Memphis home after leaving a small town outside of San Antonio, Texas called Hundo. In the Jim Crow South, the most incredulous acts of redlining were set, and my family moved into the Riverside community. Again, a once thriving neighborhood dripping with Black excellence. Little did my great-grandparents know, and were completely unaware of the later coined term of environmental racism. The Valero refinery was established in 1941 after its transition from the Delta refinery, less than a decade prior to their move to Memphis. Also to take note, just adjacent to the Valero refinery, there was and continues to be a major highway with major traffic and miles of train tracks, creating a trifecta of pollution. Hundreds of old lead service lines, the perfect storm of toxic dumping ground. This South Memphis community is where my family grew and expanded, where they worked, played, and prayed, where my grandparents and parents were married. But this community is also the birthplace of the cumulative toxic body burden with a litany of family health issues ranging from chronic asthma, reproductive health issues, breast cancer, and a host of other life-threatening challenges, all correlational to living in close proximity to this petrochemical plant. For example, my great-grandmother, grandmother, and I all have chronic asthma, among other lifelong irreversible health issues, including fibroids that both myself and my mother suffer from. This is what I like to call my body burden story. And it's a similar story of so many Black, Latinx, and Indigenous people across the country. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack. In April 2014, former governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder, along with other local and state government officials, switched the city of Flint's drinking water source from the Detroit water system to the Flint River, known to be saturated with toxins for decades of residuals from the automotive industry. What we now know as the Flint water crisis is one of the most criminal acts of environmental racism in modern history. For mere pennies on the dollar, white supremacists and perpetuators of capitalism put the lives of a majority Black city on the line, poisoning thousands. This crime against humanity inspired me to start the organization Black Millennials for Flint. In April 2023, it will mark 9 years since the crisis, and Flint still ain't fixed, where misappropriation of funds over nearly a decade and a lack of priority of replacing pipes has still left over 2,000 pipes still not replaced. Among many irreversible health conditions due to severe lead poisoning, maternal health and infant health continue to be major challenges in the city of Flint. In the most recent Flint and Genesee County, Michigan Community Needs Assessment, it was found that the infant death rate for Flint is more than double that of the United States. Double. The percentage of low birth weight infants in Flint was 14.6%, 32% higher than the county average of Genesee County, and 40% higher than the state average. According to Yale School of Public Health Professor Chen and the lead researcher in the study on Black mothers in the Flint water crisis, it was found that children born to mothers who were exposed to the contaminated water in Flint had a significantly lower birth weight on average compared to those in other cities. They found that Black babies in particular have been disproportionately impacted by the exposure as well. A damning take on what many have called a crisis resulting from systemic racism. Mother Earth is a Black woman and she is under attack. Black mothers and infants are harmed by climate change at a much higher rate than the population at large. With regard to climate change, impacts on Black maternal health, a 2017 study found that for every 10 degrees increase in temperature in California, for example, there is an average increase in preterm delivery of 8.6%. But take a look at this. For Black women, that increases almost 15%. At the intersection of climate change and environment and reproductive justice, Black women have the highest risk of preterm delivery from heat. Also, another condition, in addition to added risk association with rising temperatures, living near areas with higher pollution increases the risk of lower birth weights. We see that as a recurring trend, and increases the risk of stillbirth by, you ready for this? 42%. Air pollution and stillbirth risk, exposure to airborne particulate matters during pregnancy, meaning we're breathing in all these toxins during pregnancy, is associated with fetal death. Pregnant women exposed to high temperatures of air pollution are more likely to have children who are premature and guess, underweight, or stillborn. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also CDC, reports that Black women, Indigenous women, particularly amongst Alaskan Native women, are also dying at 2 to 3 times the rate of white mothers from pregnancy-related causes. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack. I'm a Black woman, and it is my birthright not to be defeated. Nay, in all things, we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature shall be able to separate us from the love of God. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is still under attack, but white supremacy will not win. While I am sick and tired of being sick and tired, like my good ancestor Fannie Lou Hamer said, who fought her own battles with reproductive injustice, I will fight to the bloody death to ensure that Black genocide will not prevail. In the words of our mother, Loretta Ross, it's not that I'm never scared. I've just learned never to let my fears stop me from becoming more than what happened to me. Activism has been the art of making my life matter. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack, but I will clap back like my mama, LaSharon, my grandmothers, Annie Ruth, Mariella, and Alberta. I will keep that same who gon' check me boo energy from the grassroots to the White House as the youngest and only childbearing Black woman appointed to the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council. Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack, but I say today, my brothers and sisters, not today, Satan. I thank you, Black women, for being the mothers and the stewards of this earth, and let's continue to clap back against white supremacy and protect our wombs, the first environment. Thank you.
Mother Earth is a Black woman, and she is under attack. Latricia, thank you for seeing us and speaking truth to power. Now you will hear a spoken word poem by another dynamic artist and poet, Ryan. She will be reciting her piece titled Dedication to the Womb.
Just wanted to send you guys this video reciting the poem I have chosen for this event. It is called Dedication to the Womb. I wrote this poem in remembrance of my mother who passed December 2020 from cancer. And it was just a reflective type of piece, you know, in honor of the journey, the love, the sacrifices for not only my mother, but all mothers across the world. From the womb we come, and in death to the womb we return. For the earth is our mother who gives life and lessons learned. A joyous honor it is to be, one with nurturing allure, a blessing to thee. A presence of which comfort is at ease, defensiveness crumbles, ego is put aside, the love from a woman, God's most precious prize. Underestimated, taken for granted, we misunderstand often the calling upon those deemed to be mothers. Took for me to lose mine to reflect on her path and others. Stepping into womanhood, a path of continuous strides and struggles, was met at the door by internal wars beyond words I could explain or prepare for in rebuttal. That is why I choose today to honor the womb. Couldn't imagine navigating this life, meanwhile keeping my offspring in tune, instilling what truly matters, great principle, respect, morals, and to constantly groom my babies into self-righteous people who walk with their head held high when they enter a room. Never could repay my mother for her sacrifices at hand, being the chosen one with such a grand gesture at hand, to love unconditionally even on the days she didn't feel like herself. One reason I'm hesitant to embark on such a journey myself, to embrace such a calling, a giver of oneself, to put pride and ego aside and put said children primarily first, praying they'll love me through adversity, through my best and my worst. Dear mama, I'm sorry if I ever brought you misunderstanding or hurt. I'd pay you my last dollar in expression of gratitude. You deserve my highest honor. Right after God, it's you. And I'm talking to the clouds with mine because my mother is no longer here. Please do me this favor. If yours is still on this earth, hug her and treat her dear. And if y'all are estranged, please make it your due diligence to make it right soon, because you only get one to admire as a true gift from their womb. Thank you guys so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Ryan. As a Black woman, we know that we are not the public face of climate change activism or environmentalism, but we are the caretakers of our land and communities, fighting on the front lines without recognition. I am humbled to introduce our five awardees who have shown exceptional leadership and contributions in the fight towards environmental justice. Christina Barfield is the founder and CEO of FarmerJawn, a Philly based organization that nourishes the land and the community. Krista owns Viva Leaf Tea and FarmerJawn and also operates a nonprofit that includes multiple farming sites totaling 128 acres of Philadelphia area and land. Krista also trains and educates the Black and Brown community around farming and land cultivation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christa Barfield, and I am the CEO and founder of FarmerJawn Agriculture. We are an organization that is based in Philadelphia, and our mission is to focus on reintroducing farming into the lifestyles of urban people by way of equity and education. And we focus on issues around food insecurity, environmental racism, and really just decolonizing the outdoors overall while making sure that urban organic food exists. And we are really happy to be the recipients of this award and even more excited to share all of our resources and knowledge and everything that I've learned along this entrepreneurship journey and how I can help impact change on other organizations and people who look just like me. So thank you so much, and I'm really looking forward to what the future holds.
Reverend Dr. Dianne D. Glave is a pastor, activist, professor, scholar, and published author. She is the co editor of To Love the Wind and the Rain African Americans and Environmental History, and the author of Rooted in the Earth Reclaiming the African American Environmental Heritage.
Good evening and welcome. I am so excited to be here for the Black Women Green Future Award. I am more a griot, a storyteller, an author who focuses on African Americans and the environment. And I see myself as part of the broader picture of environmental justice. And somebody has to tell those stories, the many stories of African Americans and the environment in the past and in the present. My own story goes back to my childhood when my parents took me to upstate New York, Baker's Camp, and there I would run around, I'd crawl under logs, and I would just have freedom all over the camp that we went to. I also remember my grandparents who had a farm, and I remember chasing chickens on their farm in Jamaica in the Caribbean. Many thanks to my parents, many thanks to my grandparents. I also remember the ancestors, Zora Neale Hurston, George Washington Carver, and more. I'm also grateful to New Voices who about 12 years ago invited me to speak at Kinks, Locks, and Twists. That was their conference. And so we come around full circle where I am here once again and appreciate the honor of being here. Finally, many thanks to Ebony Flowers, who is the manager of Black Women Green Future and organized our gathering today. I want to thank everyone for being here, and I look forward to the rest of our time together.
Tonni Oberly is the co-owner of Oaks Spouts LLC, a farm that uses sustainable agricultural practices to produce healthy, fresh food. Tonni is pursuing her PhD in city and regional planning at the Ohio State University, focusing on the intersectional impact of place and racism on maternal and infant health outcomes in Black communities.
Hi everyone, my name is Tonni Oberly from Urbana, Ohio. I want to thank New Voices for Reproductive Justice for recognizing me as a Black Women Green Future awardee. This is such a huge honor, and I always say that I do this work for myself and for my community and for those who have gone before and for those who are yet to come. And I'm especially thankful to the Black folks who have paved the way in the reproductive justice and environmental justice movements, and I applaud New Voices for your crucial work at the intersection of these movements with the recognition that these movements really must be one and the same. As a public health and urban planning researcher, a doula, and a farmer, I'm excited to join you all as we strive for a more just and sustainable future. Thank you again.
Jocelyn Travis is an organizer, trailblazer, and activist who is currently the organizing manager with Sierra Club. Ms. Travis currently serves on the advisory board of the Ohio Climate Justice Fund. She is studying to become a registered parliamentarian. Ms. Travis currently serves as vice president of North Coast Unit of Parliamentarians in Cleveland, Ohio.
Since receiving the very unexpected message from Ms. Flowers that I have been selected as a recipient of the Black Women Green Future Award, I have been doing a lot of reflecting and soul searching. My journey to date has been heavily influenced by strong Black women who invested their time, expertise, and love into me. From family members, teachers, and educators, civil rights leaders, co-workers, friends, and mentors. You have instilled in me the passion and understanding to speak out and advocate for what is right, even if it's not popular. For this, I am thankful, and more importantly, I realize the necessity for me to always give back. Thank you to Ms. Yavanka Hall of the Northeast Ohio Black Health Coalition, who is a powerhouse committed to fighting for the rights of all in need. For this nomination, it is people like Yavanka and so many others in the Sierra Club and throughout the community who are working hard to make a difference in the lives of so many. Please accept my very sincere thanks to the leadership of New Voices for Reproductive Justice, and know how proud I am that we have an organization like yours with a vision that provides women with hope, support, and encouragement. Thank you so much for caring.
Mónica Ortiz Rossi is the co-founder of KALM Living, which provides infrastructural health equity research and design. She supports the Coalition for Food and Health Equity with research, evaluation, and reporting for their food security programs in historically marginalized communities. Rossi is a PhD student in the community health and health policy at SUNY School of Public Health.
Congratulations to my dear Monica for Black woman for winning the golden medal. And I love you a lot. Big hug and big kiss.
Congratulations to my sister Monica for achieving and winning Black Women's Green Future Award. So proud of you, forever proud of you. I love you so much.
I do not do this work in isolation. It takes a village. Oh, let me go back. I'm thrilled to introduce our final poet, Steph Ox, who will be reciting her piece titled, "This Body Doesn't Feel Like It's Mine."
the piece I chose is specifically for Black women, right? Because oftentimes we are the most educated if you check the statistics, but oftentimes we have the least amount of say, whether it's in laws that goes with our environment, laws that goes with our own bodies, or even just anything that creates us to be able to have the choice to grow. So I created this poem called "This Body Doesn't Feel Like It's Mine," because I often do feel like people have more of a say-so on how we move than we do of our own selves. So, this body doesn't feel like it's mine. Remember when we were younger, the biggest worries with our feet is if we're going to play kickball or jump rope. Now it's being used to walk thousands of miles, marching for equality and hope that these legs I possess are one day stand in spaces I know I deserve to be in. I done knelt so much to pray for my brothers and fight against police brutality that my shins have rug burns. But hey, here's the taking a knee in, or taking the knee down. See my thighs buckle at the cries of women whose thighs were pried open against her will. Because someone preyed on her body as if it's not her own. Now her soul is at a still. And isn't it crazy that as women we're taught that the attention of men is how we should be fulfilled? So we'll stuff our behinds literally until it becomes unproportionately filled. And for many, signing up for lifelong treatment because it's never properly healed, then they'll going to try to tell us that our is power. Yet some of them want to control that too, freaking cowards. God forbid my sisters out here become victims of incest or rape, because after 6 weeks, we no longer have the choice of our own womb in some states. Can you imagine the doctors coming to you breathlessly to tell you all the health factors at risk if you continue with a pregnancy, then you being forced to choose desperately if you want to obtain a felony or die while trying to create your family's legacy? See, I swear this body doesn't feel like it's mine. And don't let me have to one day use these natural breasts to naturally feed my newborn baby, because that's followed by you're offending everyone. Cover yourself. Act like a lady. See, owning this woman's body is crazy. Did you know that a Black woman's neck suffers twice the abuse? Domestic violence provides the chokehold, racism provides the noose. If ever I should suffer, I ask that y'all keep my shit loose so I can continue to speak out and put my voice to use, because this body doesn't feel like it's mine. And because my shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of the world, and we all know that this country was built on the backs of my ancestors, yet my blood, sweat, and tears stains these clothes, using these hands to fight for equal pay in modern day slavery. I have so many fears, yet I continue to walk around bravely. So, no sir, when I see you in the street, I won't smile because you asked me to. I'm not feeling it lately. I'll nod, keep it moving, just trying to get home safely. Y'all, I'm just tired of listening to the cat calling from guys who act like they don't see what a Black woman goes through every day. I smell the bull crap they speak when they try to tell me that my features look better on the bodies of these other cultures they seek. I just long for the day that I no longer have to explain the whys of my hair to every person I meet, so I'll continue unlearning thousands of years of conditioning, because my brain seems to be the only thing I'm in control of in these streets, because this body doesn't feel like it's mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Steph Fox, and thank you to all the artists and poets that performed tonight. I do not do this work in isolation. It takes a village. I want to thank my leadership team for their support and work behind the scenes: Executive Director Kelly Davis, Deputy Director Beulah Osweki, External Affairs Director Amanda Fennell, and Administrative Director Gwen Snyder. I also want to thank my colleague, Hannah Litchfield, External Affairs Manager, who works so hard behind the scenes and is responsible for all the incredible graphics you see. Last but not least, I am supported by New Voices Community Programs Director and my supervisor, Lee Smith, who I am privileged to introduce this evening.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight was absolutely amazing. As Ebony shared, my name is Lee Smith, and I am the Community Programs Director here at New Voices. Tonight, we were able to celebrate the work and triumph of all of our awardees. I'm not foolish enough to believe or to negate that those same triumphs didn't come with a matching set of challenges and tears. Each of you deserve your flowers now. If you enjoyed your time with us, it doesn't have to be over. There are opportunities to engage, give, and support New Voices and the reproductive justice movement. Throughout this year, our monthly series, Rooted and Amplified, will stream every third Thursday. Yes, every third Thursday at 12 p.m. on our Facebook page. Every month, Ebony will interview a change maker. Join us and let's continue to learn together. The Black Women Green Future Steering Committee is gearing up for 2023. So if you're interested in learning more about our work and have a desire to take part in advising and supporting Black Women Green Future, this is for you. The steering committee will be a pivotal component of the environmental justice work that New Voices does, providing information, support, and gaining a new network of Black women primed for action. Heading into the end of the year, we'll be hosting our first Black Woman Green Future Policy Summit. Tackling difficult topics and suggesting ways to affect change, this summit promises to be eye-opening and will not only include the voices of Black women and femmes in the environmental justice fight, but also the voices of our youth. The summit is scheduled for October 2023. Keep your ears to the ground for the save the date. Finally, if your gift is giving, we have a place for you too. We thank the donors who have invested in us and continue to do so. No gift is too small. If you'd like to make a donation, please visit our website, www.newvoicesrj.org, or email at externalaffairs@newvoicesrj.org. Sadly, this is the part of the evening where we bring the Black Woman Green Future Awards to a close. A huge thank you to every person that had a hand in making this celebration a success. We hope that you are feeling, in Kelly's words, educated, empowered, and ready to affect environmental change. We cannot wait to see you again next year. And until then, have a great night.
Thank you.